Well, we are trending in France, I can tell you that. Remarkably, we are not getting any fair coverage from their mainstream media apparatus. Check out all these headlines, man. They are rolling in. They do seem to be a bit panicked. We can also cut over here for the English speakers so you can see these headlines in English. I personally like the one from Nice Matin the best. It reads, "What does conspiracy theorist Candace Owens' absurd and transphobic investigation on Brigitte Macron, which is a hit on YouTube, contain?" I like that they admit that it's a hit on YouTube. And also just a question back to them. How can I be transphobic if Brigitte Macron is not trans? Weird. Also, this other publication that's mentioned here, Marianne, right at the bottom, they may have jumped the gun a bit because it says there at the bottom, quote, "All the contemporary theories are covered: pedophilia, satanic delusions, or even false identity." I haven't yet made any claims about a false identity. Weird. What do they know that we don't know? I mean, it just seems like the press might know something that the public doesn't know, so we should probably find out what that might be. Welcome back to our series, Becoming Brigitte. All right, guys, I have a fun one for you today. We're taking a break from the very dark world of Brigitte. We did not even cover all of the pedophile stories, but we're just going to take a brief break from that. One of the biggest mainstream media lies, okay, is that the rumors surrounding Brigitte were developed by far-right conspiracy theorists. They keep throwing that word out. It's a conspiracy, as though somebody put together a thread on Reddit or on the dark web, and that's the reason why people just started believing everything. That is not true. It could not be further from the truth. So I'm going to recap for you what actually went down in France. It's important to know this. The press, as we mentioned yesterday, intentionally spun a tale of an irresistibly hot and bold Brigitte Macron, who was constantly pushing back against the conformity of her stale Catholic upbringing all throughout her life, okay? I'm actually going to read you verbatim some of the published lines from that time because it is funny. It's actually funny to read how much the mainstream media just lies to us all the time, okay? Quote, "Around the age of 14 or 15, Brigitte gets bolder. She swaps her navy blue uniform from the austere Sacred Heart School in Amiens, pleated skirt, sweater, and tights, for small shorts and a mini skirt. For a while, she can forget about her schooling, constrained by Catholic discipline." Here's another one. "She loves to dance at the surprise parties of the time. She wears tight miniskirts, and between 2 glasses of whiskey and Coke and wild rock and roll songs, she dares to flirt behind the curtains." Just imagine what is coming into your mind as I read these publications about her growing up, okay? Here's another one describing Brigitte as a, quote, "inveterate party girl in an ultra small kilt who was into rock dancing to the music of John Lee Hooker until dawn. A rather hectic adolescence, the opposite of the quiet Emmanuel." Another writer wrote, quote, "The youngest of the Trogneau family has always struck a chord with the public, with her contagious good humor, her taste for partying, and her often funny, down-to-earth way of speaking." Again, of course, the goal of all of that was to soften her for having seduced a 14-year-old Emmanuel Macron, right? Rather, we're supposed to imagine in our minds that Macron had simply hit the jackpot, right? He fulfilled the fantasy of every boy his age because he got to sleep with that hot teacher, okay? And they reinforced this narrative by inserting sometimes anonymous quotes from former colleagues of Brigitte and alleged classmates of Emmanuel. Again, what I'm about to read to you are real quotes that were published in the mainstream press about Brigitte's teaching days, okay? Quote, "Brigitte's class can't believe that the French teacher is celebrating her 40th birthday today. She looks so young in her short skirts and casual manner. To capture the attention of the most dissipated, the teacher has another less academic asset, her legs showcased in tiny skirts. Brigitte didn't wait to become the first lady to take great care of her appearance. Quote, "She was a pleasure to look at, not just listen to, always with perfect hairdressing, with makeup and perfumed," one student recalls. The boys are seduced. The girls take her as a role model. All the high school students were in love with her, says Frederique from Emmanuel's class. And from her very vocal daughter, Tifon, the only child that seems to really defend Brigitte Macron, she included this, quote, "When I was a child, I was even jealous of all the students who wrote to her or called her at home." Then there is another teacher who spoke and went a little bit further. They said, quote, "Brigitte arrived at La Providence wearing mini tailleuse." That's like a mini skirt and with a jacket, right? A sports coat. "Beautiful, a pinup." One student stresses, "We were all in love with her." Well, you guys, if the mainstream media says it's true, I guess it's case closed. We might as well stop this investigation. What do you want? Hottie with a body. Man, I sure hope I look like whatever that was at the age of 40, with people drooling over themselves. But it didn't stop there. The case wasn't really closed because in 2018, okay, what happens next is a woman named Mayelle Brun, she was then the head of the celebrities department at the magazine Closer, published the quote unquote official biography of Brigitte Macron, which was entitled Brigitte Macron La Franchie, okay, which means in English, the freed woman. Look at that cover. Wow, she's free. Amazing. Look at that face. She's happy. She's glowing. And it was essentially really a book that was just a regurgitation, or rather a compilation of everything that I just said to you, everything that had already been published. And I'll tell you why this was immediately considered a departure from previous authorized biographies of a first lady or a president. And that's because there was absolutely no pictures provided of Brigitte Macron as a child, and there were no pictures provided of her as a young mother. In fact, the earliest picture, okay, in this authorized biography was from 1993, when Brigitte was already teaching by that time at the Providence School. So here it is. This is the earliest photo that they included. Wait a second. Okay. So the caption beneath that photo read, "Brigitte Ozier is 40. She's married. She's the mother of 3. She's quite appreciated at the high school where she teaches. She's about to make the encounter that will cause an upheaval of her life." Okay, so they just went ahead and decided to erase the first 40 years in this official biography. Then 6 months later, in June of 2018, a woman by the name of Virginie Lienhardt, who normally focused on creating documentaries about World War II and the Holocaust, essentially turned the book, a biography of Brigitte, into a documentary, which was entitled Brigitte Macron ou un roman français, which just means a French novel. And that was released on the France 3 channel. Now, I should mention to you that this is a government-owned channel, okay? It was created in 1969 by the Office of the President. This is like PBS, BBC. Okay, we are not in conspiracy land. This is a reputable woman, Virginie Lienhardt, who makes documentaries. And of course, documentaries are supposed to include a ton of photos. Think about whatever you were watching when you were coming up. For me, maybe Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera documentaries, just filled with photos when you are watching this and you're seeing their siblings and you're seeing them at Disney World and you're seeing them, doing whatever was normal for the time that they were growing up. A Michael Jackson documentary, right? Tons of photos and siblings. And by the way, I want to be clear, Virginie Lienhardt did have tons of photos. Just, almost all of them, again, from Brigitte's teaching days, beginning in 1986 in Strasbourg and ending in Paris in 2015. So I'm going to show you the photos that were in this documentary. First, just showing you this collage, actually, of all of the photos. There you have it. And Mark, I don't know if you need to take me out of that so they can see the full thing. Wait, okay. What's going on here? Because I was reliably informed that Brigitte Ozier was a hot, sexy pinup girl with irresistible legs who wore miniskirts, the kind of woman that the boys just couldn't look away from. I don't know, fellas, should I check the chat here? Are you guys, is it getting nasty in the chat? Because I'm not seeing it. I am just not seeing that teacher. Also, where are the miniskirts? Actually, she seems strangely to be wearing a scarf in a lot of these authorized photos. Why was she always covering her neck? That's kind of weird. Here, I'll give you guys some close-ups of that. Maybe you guys are not thinking she's hot. There it is, guys, fellas. Honestly, the guy to the left of her is better looking, in my opinion. I don't know what's happening here. More photos, maybe this one, guys. Guys are making some not nice faces here in the chat. Okay, we'll keep going. Maybe there's going to be some sexy pinup girl. Where's the next one? Ah, there it is. Nope, there it is not. Skylar, are you only these are the ones from the documentary? Maybe my producer made a mistake. Wait, what? Okay, I don't know where the pinup girl is. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I've let you down. Anyways, Virginie Linhart, the documentary maker, like I said, is well respected. So surely she must have tried to get many more photos before Brigitte's teaching years. If she is not a fraud, then that would have been the first thing she would have tried to do. Interestingly enough, she spoke out regarding just how difficult it was for her to make the documentary. She said, and I quote, "It's difficult to investigate Brigitte Macron, much more than I imagined, on the substance, on the form, on everything. As soon as I started making contacts, I was summoned by Pierre-Olivier Costa, Brigitte's chief of staff, and Tristan Bromet, Brigitte's other chief of staff. It was almost like a police interrogation. What do I want to show? Who will I be interviewing? I made a list of people that I wanted to meet, but I could not apply that list. The interviewees, apart from her former students, all had the authorization of the Élysée Palace and were very careful about what they said. There is a thick wall of silence. The level of control and checking is, well, quite astounding. My documentary is a 90-minute, very personal portrait. For it, I needed photographs of young Brigitte Macron, small children, that would show an itinerary, not those approved by Best Image Agency. What won't be released is anything to do with her former life. It's a total blackout." End quote. Oh, Best Image Agency. Now, didn't we just go over that yesterday? That's Mimi's agency that was authorizing the photos that were allowed to go out. So apparently, Mimi's agency authorized the photos that could go out for this documentary as well. Now, Virginie Linhart did, however, receive 2 photos from Brigitte's alleged childhood. One, the public was told, was from Brigitte, then Trogneau, would have been her last name, her first communion. I'm going to show you that photo. Here it is. And another photo, now infamous photo, of the entire Trogneau family, allegedly taken about a year after Brigitte's birth, okay? That is the full Trogneau family photo, which we will come back to. So now really all that was missing from that photo of her communion until the school photos, which appear in 1986, was 23 years of Brigitte's life, the most crucial years of her life. You know, like, I don't know, her being a teenager, her getting married at 21, her allegedly having 3 babies, her getting married to a banker named Andre Louis Ozier, who was her husband of 32 years. Like, I don't know. Do people not take photos of them and their husbands in France? I don't know. Virginie Linhart actually referred to Andre Louis Ozier, Brigitte's alleged husband of 32 years, as the French Republic's best kept secret. And certainly, you guys, it appeared that way. Because at the time that the documentary was released, there was only one photo that was available of her ex-husband that had even made its way onto Wikipedia as her ex-husband. There it is, Andre Louis Ozier. And you can see it has his date of birth, and it has his date of death, and it has the dates that they were married from 1974 to 2006. All of that is correct, except for the photo itself. Yeah, could you pull that up again? That photo, it turned out, was not actually Andre Louis Ozier, because a former student who had gone on to become a politician, his name is Francois Ruffin, also went to Providence School, and he came out and said, "That's not Andre Louis Ozier. That's Mr. Hugo, a teacher at the school. Oopsies." Whatever. But I gotta tell you, that oopsie did make the public think, what's going on here, man? This is kind of getting weird. It's a little weird, okay? And I have to tell you guys, there was some immediate feedback from the public, some early musings, if you will, about the 2 photos, which had been released from Brigitte's alleged childhood. Foremost, the communion photo caused a bit of a stir. because many felt that it was a dead ringer, that photo, not of First Lady Brigitte Macron, who was side by side here, Brigitte Ozier and her alleged communion photo. They didn't feel like that was strong, but they did feel that it was a dead ringer for her very chatty daughter, Tefan. They thought that looks like Tefan, okay? And like I said, she was the only daughter, the only child of Brigitte that was willing to participate in the documentary. She was willing to speak to Virginie for like an hour. And like I said, it doesn't help that Best Image, the photo agency, had supplied the image. People were wondering, and I will include myself in this, was it perhaps edited? No. Mimi, as we learn later on, has been accused of a lot of forgery and stuff and all sorts of crimes, man. You got to look into Mimi Marchand. So it's not like totally crazy to wonder if maybe she's being used because she does play around a bit and she's willing to do crimes, you know? So yeah, it was in fact, my musings about that was one of the areas of nitpick, one of the areas that the Macrons had included when they initially sent me the first strongly worded letter, because I had claimed on a show dating back to March of last year that the photo was recolorized. I looked at it and I said, that photo looks too new. It looks like it's recolorized. Now and I was just getting into this bizarre story. And so I was just investigating, asking questions, reading other people's investigations. Now I'm a lot deeper on the facts, and I now know for a fact that that photo was not recolorized, okay? Similarly, at the beginning when I was trying to understand this case, I had asked Xavier Poussard about the theory, which a lot of people were wondering, which was, did the real Brigitte Trogneau die when she was a child? And did perhaps Brigitte Macron take her identity? Again, that was a theory that was floating around the internet. And I now know for a fact that no, she did not die when she was a child. So let's go back actually and take a look at their first carefully worded legal letter to me. This is their repeat strategy. I'm going to keep reminding you of this. The way that they sue people, the way that they go after people in court is they ignore the substance of the claims. Substance being, was current First Lady Brigitte Macron born a biological male? It's a simple yes or no question. And instead of attacking that, they wait for people to make a mistake as they try to garner the answer. And of course, mistakes will be made. Of course, you could say this photo is recolorized and they go, boop, go after her. Go after her. If she suspects saying that Brigitte Trogneau died as a child, go after her. So this is the legal letter. We'll show you that. They wrote, your discrediting of these photos is not only without merit, but also internally inconsistent. In your episodes on March 11th and March 13th and June 17th, you claimed that the first communion photo is an altered image of Tefan Ozier. However, in your August 30 podcast, you agreed with Poussard that the photo depicts the real Brigitte Trogneau before she passed away at a young age, another falsehood. Now, I want to be very clear. Xavier Poussard has never said that Brigitte Trogneau passed away at a young age, but I may have asked him the question and was speculating about whether or not she passed away, which they claim is another falsehood. And then they say both hypotheses could not be further from the truth. Moreover, you allege that the first communion photo had been debunked repeatedly and that the press now states its attribution to Mrs. Macron was a mistake, but you have not cited any outlets or articles retracting the photo. Surely you would provide this devastating proof if you had it, but you do not. Okay. Doing a little dance there. Why do they not just simply state who the person in the communion photo is? Why not just say plainly, if you're going to write a legal letter, Candace, the person in this communion photo is not Tefan Ozier, and the photo is not recolorized, and it is in fact First Lady Brigitte Macron. They don't do that. They never do that. Why not also simply state what the truth is, rather than saying that the hypotheses are far from the truth? So, of course, now we're like a year on. I'm now armed with a much fuller picture of what happened, what the truth might really be. And so my legal team, as you remember, included a very straightforward yes or no question back to them, back to the couple in good faith regarding the girl in the communion photo. And we wrote this, number 4. Is the little girl pictured in the communion photograph, allegedly from 1963, the Brigitte Macron that is currently married to President Macron? You guys know what happens next. No response. No response. They're angry. You said it was recolorized. You said Brigitte Trogneau had died when she was a child. That's defamation. That's defamation. But we can't tell you what the truth is. They knew by then, in terms of how specific my questions were getting, they knew that I was onto them, that I had worked through the investigation, that I had arrived at more correct conclusions, that I was doing less musing, okay? Not for a single second did we believe that they were going to answer our questions, and they have not yet. They just send us more letters and more ridiculous things where they don't assert what the truth actually is. Now, regarding the second photo of Brigitte's alleged childhood, which the documentary presented, let's take a look at it so you can understand what was so explosive about it. This full family Trogneau photo of them in Amiens, okay? Observations, again, were immediately made by the public. People are allowed to think. They are allowed to have thoughts. They are allowed to ask questions, okay? First and foremost, people thought they were being told that Brigitte is this little girl in the lap of her mother sitting here in the front. But the public, just quickly taking a glance here, thought, wait a second, Brigitte looks more like that little boy on the far left. And wait a second, who is that little boy on the far left? He's completely unaccounted for. Thus far, okay, leading up to this moment, despite so much press surrounding Brigitte, her life, her married life, her being a teacher, despite entire genealogical websites that were dedicated to her family, there was no mention on these genealogical websites or in the press of the boy on the far left, okay? So that became the dog that wasn't barking, okay? For clarity, there had been only one brother that was publicly accounted for. Brigitte's older brother, we'll show you a picture again. He is the one standing in the back. That is Jean-Claude. And the interested public were now being introduced suddenly to a second mysterious brother, and they would find out that his name was Jean-Michel Trogneau. I'm going to take a brief pause here before I bring in Emmanuel Macron's strange story. First, just to throw it to one of our amazing sponsors, Preborn, because if you want to hear some great news, the abortion pill reversal treatment, which provides women with a second opportunity to choose, is bringing babies back to life. When you join forces with Preborn Ministries, you empower women to reverse the curse. What you might not be aware of is that even though Roe was overturned and abortion has been greatly restricted in many states, the abortion pill has superseded surgical abortions, accounting now for over 60% of all abortions. Preborn's network of clinics are on standby for women in their darkest hour. They meet with them with God's love and free services to help them choose life. Through ultrasounds and the abortion pill reversal protocol, Preborn has rescued over 300,000 lives. So start this new year right by supporting life and by donating to Preborn today. One ultrasound is just $28, and $140 will help rescue 5 babies. To donate, you just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Again, that's pound 250 baby. Or you can donate securely by visiting preborn.com/Candace. Again, that's preborn.com/Candace. Also, we should talk about Field of Greens because the Dems spent years forcing mandates and dictating how we manage our health. Now they're pushing back when we try to take control of it ourselves. And that's why you need to reclaim your own health with Field of Greens. We all know eating healthy is the key to staying healthy, but life gets busy and sticking to a perfect diet isn't always realistic, but Field of Greens makes it easy. The whole fruits and vegetables, that is it, and we could all use more of that in our diets. Just one drink and you have a healthy head start on the day. My team loves taking Field of Greens and have gone on and on about having more energy, better gut health, and overall feeling healthier. Every fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens is doctor selected for the specific health benefits, and Field of Greens promises at your next checkup that your doctor will notice your improved health or you will get your money back. Right now, my viewers will get 20% off to get started. You go to fieldofgreens.com and you use my code Candace. That's fieldofgreens.com, code Candace. All right, guys, we're just warming up. It feels like we're falling down a hole. I'm not sure why. It's weird. And again, these are all mainstream journalists, so I don't know what I did wrong here by presenting it to the world so that they could see that something weird has been going on in France for quite some time. And rather than the public, or rather the mainstream media being interested in it, they just keep smearing everybody as like far-right conspiracy theorists. Every journalist I've mentioned thus far is on the left. In fact, many of these people were excited about giving Brigitte a platform because they themselves are feminists. And finally they said, let me profile this woman. And then they realized something is very wrong here. I cannot Why am I being called in to the Élysée Palace? What have I done wrong? Why does this feel like a police interrogation? I'm just trying to ask some questions. But it's not just Brigitte. Now let's discuss Emmanuel Macron's biography because it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting, this guy. So the story goes that he, like Brigitte, was born in Amiens. Amiens is the capital town or city within the department of Somme. Okay, so in France, they call these departments. I like to think of departments as states if you're from America. And so think of Amiens as the capital of the state of Somme. Amiens also has a ton of history dating back to the Middle Ages because it is the ancient capital of Picardy, which, just to be clear, that just means like northern France. I'm telling you that for a reason. Now, jumping back into his biography, I am now going to read directly from journalist Xavier Poussard's forthcoming book, which we should be announcing for you guys this week. He writes, quote, Emmanuel Macron remains a mystery to those who went to school with him. His former classmates describe him as, quote, the only one we didn't know anything about, neither where he spent his vacations nor what his parents did for a living. They describe him as a loner, not much socialized, not gathering others around him. Later, at the school, Henry IV, he stayed in the background, elusive. Quote, he maintained an air of mystery, a parallel life of which we knew nothing. No one knows of any close friends among his 48 fellow students. He had a very striking chameleon-like manner, end quote. Emmanuel Macron's early life before he met Brigitte is similarly a black hole. Journalists who have tried to cover the subject have all fallen back on cross portraits for lack of material, testimonials, photographs, etc. The information that could be gathered can be summed up in a few lines. Xavier goes on and says, born on December 21st, 1977 in Amiens, Emmanuel Macron spent his childhood on Rue Gautier de Rumilly, a street in Henryville, which is the upscale district of Amiens, in a house that was bought in 1982 by his parents, Jean-Michel Macron, a neuropsychiatrist at Amiens University Hospital from a Picard family, and Francois Nogue, that would be his mother, a pediatrician who became an expert for Social Security. I'm just going to pause before I jump into Xavier's script here so you get the picture, okay? His dad is a psychiatrist. His mom is a doctor to children. Interesting combo. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying for right now, but I'm going to say a lot more. Her family originates from, and this is Francois Nogue, his mother, from Bagneres, and that is in the Haute Pyrenees region. I'm going to talk about that later. The couple had two more children. So Emmanuel, born in 1977. Then came Laurent, born in 1979, his brother, and Estelle, his sister, born in 1982, all born within 5 years of one another. Both physicians before divorcing in 2010. Emmanuel Macron also has a half-brother. His name is Gabriel. He was born in 2005 from his father's second marriage to a woman named Helene Joly, also a psychiatrist at the Institute of Educational Medicine in Somme. Okay. Now, in 2017, Emmanuel Macron released his own autobiography, which was entitled Revolution. Okay. That similarly provided very few scant details about his background. And it was actually Sylvie Bemel, an independent journalist who writes for Vanity Fair. Again, we are on Reddit threads, guys. We're not on the deep web, who summed up his autobiography this way. This is what she said about his autobiography. In Revolution, Emmanuel devotes 5 pages to his maternal grandmother, only 1 to his parents, and 2 lines to his brother Laurent and his sister Estelle. Nor is there any mention of his half-brother Gabriel, born in 2005 from his father's second marriage, and even less of his father's companion Helene. Conversely, he scrupulously mentions the first names of Brigitte's 3 children and their spouses, as well as those of her 7 grandchildren. She has since had an 8th one. On the day of the inauguration, the Oziers were the only ones to tread the red carpet leading up to the Élysée Palace. Typhon and Laurence, blonde, slim, and elegant, and their brother Sebastian, all accompanied by their spouses and their children. The estrangement is reciprocal. In 2014, a colleague of his brother Laurent at the hospital asked him if Macron, working with Francois Hollande at the time at the Élysée Palace, was a close relative. No, he's a vague cousin. Everyone's bugging me about this guy, replied his brother Laurent. Okay, maybe Laurent just didn't want to be asked about a question about a minister and just said that. A bit weird. Then a woman named Nicole, who is a first cousin of Emmanuel's mother, Frances Nogue, similarly told a reporter that she hardly ever saw Emmanuel's alleged sister, Estelle. That's very weird, okay? Sylvie Baumel, again, the journalist, Vanity Fair writer, reputable mainstream media, also said this. She said, quote, "I had a hard time finding Emmanuel's friends. He never talked about his family. We are hard-pressed to find any photos of his early years. When, as a grown-up, he launched his presidential campaign, many political analysts noted that his communications were inspired by Obama. Even if this is the case, he has neglected his early childhood. Anyone interested in the former United States president, Obama, can have with emotion at baby Barack in a romper suit, the chubby kid wielding his first baseball bat, the kid with 2 holes where he just lost his baby teeth. In short, watching him grow up. Our president's photo album begins in his 10th year. The shot was taken in the choir of the chapel of the La Providence School, with Emmanuel reading a passage from the Bible. Around his neck, a shiny medal worn for the first time marks the day of his baptism at age 12. Francois and Jean-Michel have a distant relationship with religion. Of course, they were married in a church to enjoy the pomp of the event and gather their families. They never considered having the baby baptized. Wow. His life starts at the age of 12 in photos? That's a bit weird. Here are the 3 photos she's referring to, by the way, which were widely considered to be the first known photos of Emmanuel Macron. One that she's describing from his baptism, one from his 7th grade year at Providence, and the third, which is another one from his studies. It's almost like he grew up in the Providence school with Brigitte, right? Uh-oh, this is going to be a quote, and I'm going to get a letter from Emmanuel. You said he grew up in the school. That didn't happen. We're suing you for defamation. Oddly, however, I should mention that when Xavier Poussard kept digging, he did find that there were some uncredited and seemingly unauthorized photos that appeared in, you guessed it, Paris Match, one of Mimi Marchand's favorite publications, in May of 2017, when we know Mimi Marchand, the PR killer, so to speak, figuratively, was running the comms for them. So in May of 2017, these photos appeared, and I'm going to show you those. Okay, so we're seeing a kid. It tells us in the captions that this is Emmanuel Macron when he was 3 years old. By the way, if you guys are French and watching this, if somebody could identify those sneakers, that would be amazing. Later on in the comments, I'll get a close-up of that for you guys. I'm just curious as to what sneaker brand that is. It says he's reading Sylvester and Tweety, got this crazy blonde hair, and that one in the bottom right is supposed to be him at his father's office of medicine. And you'll notice that, again, these young photos, he's got all of these siblings. There's no photos of him with his siblings. And who authorized these photos? They're literally not credited in that magazine issue of where these photos came from. And they are never again included in any biography, whether it's autobiography, whether it's an authorized biography or an unauthorized biography. We don't get to see those photos again. Okay. So to recap, the Macron side of the family is supposed to have deep roots in Amiens. Okay, they're supposed to be Picardy. Yet when another journalist, a gay journalist named Hervé Alga-Laranda, and why I'm telling you he's gay and openly gay is not to call him out, but because don't forget a big piece of what the media says is that everybody's LGBTQ phobic. That's the reason why anybody is even saying anything about her. Well, this guy certainly is not, okay? Hervé Alga-Laranda made what is likely the greatest effort to look into Emmanuel Macron's upbringing in his investigative book, which in English is Two Young French Women, okay? And he similarly found some really odd things. Foremost, the former mayor of Amiens, a man's name Guy de Robian, I'm showing you him right there, who was close with the Trogneux family because Amiens is close-knit, and therefore in no way was trying to shade them or harm them in any way, said this about Emmanuel Macron. He said, Macron is not Amiennois. He is Touquetois, meaning he's not like from the town of Amiens. He's like from Le Touquet, which is, Le Touquet is a seaside town in France. What did he mean by that? What do you mean he's a Touquetian? Is he suggesting that Macron was not from Amiens at all? Because that would be weird. Why wouldn't a city mayor in which the president of France was born in want to take full credit for his birth? Like, yes, Emmanuel Macron is from here. Maybe he just meant that he spent more of his time or the most of his time outside of the city. I don't know what he meant by this, but he said it, at least according to that book. Surely they would want to claim him, right? But people even called into question Macron's interest in his own birthplace of Amiens, because from that very same book, we find out that Emmanuel Macron, quote, skipped the commemoration while he was in office of the centenary of the Battle of Amiens on August 8th, 2018. The Amiens-born Macron was conspicuously absent, while Theresa May, then the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and Prince William, one of Queen Elizabeth's grandsons, were present. The English had stood shoulder to shoulder with the French in the Battle of World War I, the start of the Allies' victorious offensive. Emmanuel Macron did not attend the celebration, even though his family's birthplace, Authie, it's another city, was on the front line of another famous battle, the Battle of Somme. And the castle housed a field hospital, even though he knows full well, as he has mentioned in several speeches, that Picardy still bears the scars of the wars against Germany. Okay, maybe he was busy that day. Let's not get too crazy. Also, I should mention that before Emmanuel had entered the political scene in 2012, he had considered running for municipal office, but never in the Picardy region, only in Pas-de-Calais, which is further north. That's the same Pas-de-Calais that Brigitte worked within as a press secretary. Maybe that's why. Maybe they were already in the midst of their affair. I'm not sure. And then it's just about to get outright embarrassing, okay? When you consider the massive blunder that gets made by President Emmanuel Macron in regards to the other side of his family roots, the Nogue, right? His mom's side. Francois Nogue is his mom. From Soise Nogue is his mom. Remember, her family traces back to the town of Haute. That is a region of Pyrenees, okay? Think of the Pyrenees Mountains. Basically, they border Spain and France. So there's a lot of different spoken languages, a few different spoken languages in that region historically. So Macron, in his presidential capacity, goes to visit Andorra in 2018, and he presents himself as a child of the Pyrenees, okay? And this exchange happens between him and a Corsican national official. His name was Xavier Luciani, and it was captured. This exchange was captured by a journalist from Express magazine, because, you know, when presidents travel, they have like the pool of journalists that travel with them, and they're recording and they're listening to the conversations. And he's speaking to this Andorran guy, and the journalist writes that Macron said this, quote, "I had great grandparents who were Begordin, and they only spoke Pyrenean. Their sole aim in life was that my grandmother would attend a state school to learn French. Think about it," end quote. So he's opening up here. Now, we know he was close with his grandmother. He wrote the most about his grandmother in his book, The Republic, and he's saying that his grandmother, like the sole aim of her parents was for his grandmother to stop speaking Pyrenean and to go to a school and learn French, to go to a state school and learn French. And he goes, think about it. Think about how amazing now he's the president of France. And that was all his great-grandparents wanted for his beloved grandmother. And you know what? That politician did think about it, probably not for very long, because it turns out that Pyrenean is not and has never been a language. It's just amazing. That is just amazing. No, it's never been a language. They didn't know what the heck he was talking about. They're like, what are you talking about, Pyrenean? What is that? That's not a thing. People here speak a bunch of different languages, and that's not one of them. It's Occitan, Catalan, Nobody speaks Perinian. What are you trying to say, man? So he just made up a piece of his childhood. So that was weird. That was real weird, man. Real weird to be emotionally attached to a language that never existed. Anyways, back to the journalist Hervé Alga-Lorando. He tried desperately thereafter to speak to anyone in the Macron family, but they were as thick as thieves, okay? He got shot down, shot down, shot down. Then there was an official in Bigorre who gave him an idea. Okay. And the idea that came across his mind was, you know what? I should actually, if I want to learn about Emmanuel Macron's history, I should speak to Brigitte. Weird, right? The reason why this idea popped into his mind was that that official told him that when Emmanuel Macron had visited Bagnoret, okay, another city, out of civility, he was making conversation and he asked Emmanuel Macron about his sister Estelle because she lived nearby. And he says that apparently Emmanuel Macron turned to Brigitte to know what to answer. He turned to his wife to know what to answer about his sister. I don't know about how you guys are feeling right now, but I'm starting to get a little icky feeling. It's all starting to feel a bit, I don't know, incestuous to me, you know? Like, why is she know so much? And why is he like more into her family? I don't know. It's very weird, right? We should probably pause there. But for fun, I am going to tease you with this photo, 2 photos. And I want you guys to know this is real. This is not made up, okay? Because next episode, we're going to get into Jean-Michel Trogneau, the sibling that has now suddenly appeared for the first time. The public is being made aware of him. And Jean-Michel Trogneau allegedly has a son, okay? Allegedly, this guy, whoever he is, Jean-Michel Trogneau, who seems to be missing, has a son named Jean-Jacques, who is not missing. Jean-Jacques is not missing. And I'm going to just give you a side-by-side of Jean-Jacques and Emmanuel Macron. Okay? And here's another one of Jean-Jacques and Emmanuel Macron. Now, these two are not related, okay? The one on the left is allegedly Brigitte, who claims she is not Jean-Michel Trogneau. That's allegedly Brigitte's nephew. That is Jean-Michel Trogneau's son. This is not the Macron side of the family, okay? This is Brigitte. This is the Trogneau side of the family. And that's her husband. And it is just amazing. It is just amazing. But ladies and gentlemen, do not believe your own eyes. Do not believe your own eyes. You know what we should do in this next episode? We have absolutely got to get into his grandma, the one who at some point, I guess, must have spoke Perinian. I don't know, something like that. Because then things are going to start to get really interesting. And then we're going to learn a bit more about his mom, his dad, the psychiatrist, and some things that he kind of left out about them and what kind of work were these psychiatrists and pediatricians involved in? And then maybe we're going to start patching in some ideas about what might have been going on politically at that time while he was growing up. And this is going to turn into a scary story. Cannot wait to read your questions, guys. First, I want to tell you about American financing because a lot of Americans are carrying high credit card balances that charge 20% or more each and every month. It's time to take control of your debt. So if you're a homeowner and you have been waiting to figure out how to get your finances in order, you need to call my friends at American Financing today. American Financing's salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you tap into their home's equity to get out of high-interest debt. They are saving their average customer $800 a month by doing this. Saving that kind of money every month should make the decision really easy. All it takes is a 10-minute, no-cost, no-obligation phone call to find out how much you could be saving. And if you start today, you may not even have to make 2 mortgage payments. So call American Financing today. The number is 800-795-1210. Again, the number is 800-795-1210. Or you can simply visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. This person, I'm just looking at the people whose minds are exploding right now, looking at Brigitte's supposed to be nephew. I don't know, guys. Give it to me one more time. Skylar, Chris, give it to me one more time. Okay. Next one, show it to me again. What the... No, they're not, guys. They're not. Whatever you're thinking, I want you to know you're a far-right, crazy conspiracy theorist, Nazi child, okay? So just stop it. Do not believe your own eyes. We will tell you what to think, okay? We are the mainstream media. This is what we do. Everybody's crazy except for us. Everybody is bad except for us. Everybody is in the business of fake news except for us. We tell the truth no matter what. Journalists today, I think, are a bit like prostitutes, right? How much How much to make you say whatever? That's how I feel, at least on the inside. Guys, I do want to mention before I read your comments, first book club. A lot of people were asking, our website launched. And speaking of MK Ultra, oh wait, we didn't speak about MK Ultra yet. But the first book we're going to be reading is Chaos, because it is we should learn a bit about the CIA and the secret history of the 60s. And some of those themes may be relevant as we go along with this series, learning about some government programs, which involved a lot of psychiatrists, as I would say, and learning about the Manson murders and things that were going on in America and how it all just kind of fits in. And it is interesting that he modeled himself after Obama. If you guys go back, you can find episodes that I have done about Obama, which you might find to be of interest. So the first book club meeting is going to be 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, February 11th. Again, that is 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, February 11th. Guys, go to CandaceOwens.com, sign up for the book club. We're going to read books, discuss the themes in those books, and be safe from the mainstream media. Probably not. They're probably buying a book club membership just so they can speak about whatever it is that we speak about. And please support our independent journalism by going to CandaceOwens.com, because I think they want to destroy me and they don't want me to have a platform. And now we built our platform, CandaceOwens.com. Sign up, support the show in any way you want. You can even buy a mug and support the show. Okay, what questions do you guys have? I love watching the chat of people's doing the mind explosion, brain explosion when they see those photos. Let me scroll down here and see what we have. Leo writes, pregnant Candace is the best Candace. We all wish you many babies in your life. Thank you for what you do. God bless. I do think the media would beg to differ. I think they're like, please stop having children because you just get a little gutsy when you're growing these boys. Daphne writes, admire how smart and brave this woman is. May God always help and protect you. God bless you. I love the name Daphne, by the way. It's on the short list for girls. I only have one girl, though, and I'm just churning out all these boys. But Daphne is such a beautiful name. Sailing OK writes, hey, Candace, man fan from Canada. I like man fan. We don't want Ryan Reynolds back. What? What? You are taking Ryan Reynolds back. We will go to war. Okay, the America and Canada, if we have to go to war, we'll go to war. Okay. And my country, we still got, what do you want? We'll meet you at the border. Okay. We'll see what's up. This person also says, also, I think Trudeau is involved with these sick French husbands. That is all. God bless. And it's stunning that we've covered all of this sickness and perversity. And the media in France didn't think that was interesting. They weren't interested in pedophiles getting shorter sentences. They just sort of let the whole thing go. It was weird. I don't know. They were mad at me for speaking about it. Very strange. I wonder why that might be. Raquel writes, on a very unrelated topic, Candy, can I call you Candy? No, you can't call me Candy, because from a time that I was could speak, my earliest memory, my mom used to say to me, don't ever let anyone call you Candy, because Candy is a stripper name. And it burned into my little toddler brain. I was too young. And so nobody calls me Candy. Okay, that's a lie. Except people from South America, because their accents, they say Gandhi. So if you have an accent, you can call me Gandhi, but you cannot call me Candy in a basic American accent. I want to be very clear. She goes on to ask the question, where do you shop for such beautiful, feminine, conservative clothing? I love your content. Love you sharing about your faith, and I admire your bravery with God's armor. I do all of my shopping in London. So my husband and I go to London a couple of times a year, obviously, because he is from there, and they have such cute boutiques. I absolutely cannot stand large department stores. I feel overwhelmed. So there's just a boutique that I love, and that's where I get the majority of my clothing. And when I'm pregnant, I don't really shop for pregnancy clothes. This is like a very old shirt. I don't know where it's from at all, but I can't fit many of my clothes right now because my belly is expanding. Elders of Zion comment below. Please read the Protocols of Elders of Zion, 1903, from an insider into the Zionist plot to take over nations, as you can see with AIPAC today and anti-Semitism laws. Okay, thank you. Dabert Sanchez writes, we love this series, Candace, praying for your safety always, love from Montreal. And Sam writes, every time you talk about Brigitte, I think of Simon Nala when he says, should I call you Mr.? Oh yeah, the guy who says, why are you gay? You are gay. That's a really, really, really funny clip, because it's just so African in that so many of this stuff is the stuff that we're dealing with today is like first world, symptoms of the first world, where where we've just gotten so advanced that we're basically behind. And then you go to Africa and they're like, what are you talking about? What is wrong with you guys? Very funny. That's why I really enjoy Africans. If you haven't yet, you should really go back and watch my episode with the two Nigerian brothers explaining to me how they helped Jussie Smollett execute the hate crime against himself. I mean, it is just joy. So much joy felt during that interview. I can't even explain it. You guys know I love Nigerians. And that is it. That is all of the comments that we have for today, you guys. So we will pick this up at a later date. Thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to go to CandaceOwens.com to subscribe and support the independent journalism that we do. We love what we do and we want to keep doing it. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.